Lily's Big Day by Kevin Hanks. One day, Lily's teacher, Mr. Slinger, announced to the class that he was going to marry Miss Shotwell, the school nurse. Lily's heart leaped. She always wanted to be a flower girl. "It will be the biggest day of my life," said Mr. Slinger. "Mine too," whispered Lily. At home in her room, Lily practiced being a flower girl. First, she changed into something more appropriate. Then she held her head high and smiled brightly and raised her eyebrows and turned her head from side to side and carried her hands proudly in front of her and hummed, "Here comes the bride, here comes the bride." And she walked the length of the room very, very slowly, back and forth, back and forth. "It will be the biggest day of my life." Are you pretending to be? Who are you pretending to be tonight?" asked Lily's mother at dinner. "I'm not pretending," said Lily. "I'm a flower girl." "Who's getting married?" asked her father. "Mr. Slinger," said Lily. "Really? Really? Really? He's gonna marry Miss Shotwell. He told us today, and I'm gonna be the flower girl." "You are?" said her father. "Did Mr. Slinger ask you?" said her mother. "Not yet," said Lily. At bedtime, Lily's mother said, "Lily, there are so many students in your class. Mr. Slinger couldn't possibly pick just one flower girl." Her father said, "It wouldn't be fair." "He probably has a niece," said her mother. "Maybe Aunt Mona will get married someday," said her father. "Do you understand what we're trying to say?" After her parents left the room, Lily said, "I understand that I'm going to be the flower girl." The next day at school, during sharing time, Lily said, "I've always wanted to be the flower girl, even more than a surgeon or a diva or a hairdresser." The following afternoon, when Mr. Slinger had recess duty, Lily picked up a handful of weeds at the edge of the playground. She carried the weeds proudly in front of her and walked very, very slowly past Mr. Singer until the bell rang. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the morning after that, Lily went to the light bulb lab in the back of the classroom and she drew a self-portrait. "Me, Lily, the world's best and most famous. Smart, better than the bride, beautiful, number one, the best flower girl ever." Mr. Slinger called up Lily in his desk during quiet reading time. "Lily," he said, "I can tell that you want to be a flower girl, but unfortunately my niece Ginger is going to be the flower girl at my wedding." Lily's heart sank. "But," said Mr. Slinger, "I also want you to know that everyone in the class will be invited to the wedding. We can all dance together at the reception, and that will be fun." Lily's stomach hurt. "This seems really important to you," said Mr. Slinger. Lily's cheeks turned pink. "You know," said Mr. Slinger, "I was just thinking that you might like to be Ginger's assistant. You could stand with her company and until she had to walk down the aisle. You could make her dress isn't crooked and the flowers are held properly." You could make sure her dress isn't crooked and that she holds the flowers properly. Lily considered this. You could remind her to walk slowly, said Mr. Slinger. Lily considered some more. You could wear a corsage, said Mr. Slinger. Oh, right, said Lily. If you really need me so much. Lily tried to get excited about being Ginger's assistant. Weddings wouldn't even exist without Flower Girl's assistance, she told her baby brother, Julius. I have a special responsibility, she told her parents. When her Grammy took her shopping for a new dress for the wedding, Lily told the clerk, a Flower Girl's assistant is very, very important and glamorous. But when it really sank in that she wouldn't be walking down the aisle carrying a bouquet with everyone watching, Lily pretended that her teddy bear was Mr. Slinger and she made him sit in the uncooperative chair. You can just stay there forever. I'm so upset. As the wedding drew near, Mr. Slinger counted down the days on his chalkboard. 1 day closer to the biggest day of my life, he would say. 1 day closer to the biggest day of Ginger's life, Lily would whisper. And still, at home in her room, Lily practiced. She held her head high. She smiled brightly, raised her eyebrows, turned her head from side to side, carried her hands in front of her, and hummed, Here comes the bride, here comes the bride, and walked the length of her room very, very slowly, back and forth, back and forth. The day of the wedding finally arrived. Lily hoped and hoped that Ginger would have pink eye or a bad fever and not show up. But she was there, and she was all ready. Her dress was straight, and she held her flowers properly. Are you sure you want to do this? Said Lily. Yes, said Ginger. Are you sure you're sure? Yes. Are you really sure you're sure? Lily hoped and hoped that Ginger would change her mind, but she didn't. It was time for the ceremony to begin. The music swelled. Everybody stood. The moment came for Ginger to walk down the aisle. Ginger didn't move. Mr. Slinger motioned her forward. Go, said Lily. Ginger was frozen. Now, said Lily. Ginger was still as a stone. You can do it, said Lily. But Ginger couldn't. Everyone waited and waited and waited. No one knew what to do except for Lily. Lily scooped up Ginger and said, Here we go. Then Lily walked very, very slowly down the aisle. She held her head up high and smiled brightly and raised her eyebrows and turned her head from side to side and carried Ginger proudly in front of her. When she reached Mr. Slinger, everybody clapped. I knew this would be the biggest day of my life, said Lily. Lily was so excited she could barely notice the rest of the ceremony. The reception was great fun, and after the cake was served, Lily coached Ginger for the next time she would be the flower girl. It won't be with you at every wedding. I won't be there to save you every time, so you're going to have to learn for yourself. Together they walked back and forth, very, very slowly. Soon they were dancing. And soon after that, they were joined by Chester Wilson, Victor Julius, Mr. Slinger, Miss Shotwell, and many others. It's an interpretive dance, said Mr. Slinger. We're doing the Flower Girl, said Lily. Lily's family stayed at the reception until Lily was so perfectly exhausted. But there's something I have to do before we go. She needed to find Ginger one last time. And when she did, she said, Ginger, when I get married, you can be my Flower girl.